Hello, hello, hello. Hooligan Soccer Podcast coming to you on this Thursday. We've got a domestic cup special with the villain of the year, the Qooligan, as always, with myself, Gary Striker. Qooligan, we are in the next round of cup territory. We have the Carabao Cup. We're sandwiched in between the two semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, which we're going to cover. And then, of course, we have the fourth round of the FA Cup, which we're obviously going to go through and check out on and sort of go from there. But how are you? Everything well on your side?
Listen, man, two cups that I don't give a rat's butt about. But hey, it is exciting. It is fun. Listen, the FA Cup is special. It's got its own mystique. It's got its own, certain je ne sais quoi about it. The Carabao Cup, I just don't understand. I know its history. I know its provenance. I know all that. I can't really get terribly excited about it. That's just me. Precisely because it just seems to be Premier League clubs, battling it out for something that they may or may not put in their trophy case.
It definitely is. It definitely is on the bottom of the totem pole of who gives a fuck. That's for sure.
Sure. Yeah. Well, except for the fact that if you are a club that hasn't won anything in a while, it's at least something. And I think it for managers who are, on the bubble, in trouble.
Yes.
That offers them a lifeline, right? There's a hope.
There is some silverware there, yes. And generally, as you say, the kids generally play until they get to the semi-finals. And you're right, it's normally like Premier League teams who are sort of getting in there. And obviously that's the case now. But there is a possibility for sort of like an easy win to sort of just pick up some silverware and put that on your resume as well and say, hey, I won some silverware.
Exactly. And that's not to be discounted, right? For the fans and for everybody else, it's it's joyous. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It is true. So,
and I understand there was some big drama yesterday. I was unable to watch that match, but I do understand that you did. So clue me in. Talk to me. What happened?
So Arsenal against Newcastle in the first semi-final. They were Newcastle already 2-0 up on aggregate.
That much I remember. I do recall. That was
game
bit of a bounce for Newcastle. They were in some trouble prior to that 2-0 victory, but boy, have they been on a tear since then.
They've picked it up and they've got going. Both teams fielded full strength teams
in that exceptional form.
Well, they went on ahead and they dominated. They honestly they looked as though they ran over Arsenal the way it was looking. I think it was 2-0. It was pretty comfortable, and obviously once they got the first goal, it was 3-0 on aggregate, and you could see that Arsenal were going to have to sort of climb a mountain, and they just didn't have it. I think the biggest concern for Arsenal was their Brazilian striker Martinelli went off. It looks on like the 37th minute. It looked like he got a hamstring injury or something like that. It doesn't look like it's like serious, like ACL, Gabriel Jesus level, but it's probably 2 to 4 weeks out. And as we know, Arsenal are short in the striking department, and so they had to rely on Raheem Sterling, Chelsea's lone player who's overpaid and underperforms. So I know we've been talking about this quite a bit, but like Arsenal, they seem to be sort of cooking and like at the top of the league, qualifying for the Champions League. They're in a semi-final, and obviously they've got some other games coming up as well. But Arsenal don't look like they're playing well to be where they are, but yet they are, which is really it's a bizarre thing. And I don't know, maybe it's a testament to Arteta's tactical ability, but I think you feel the same way as well about this, but I just get the feeling there's going to be a bit of a drop-off in form for this back half of the season, especially with the injuries.
I have never thought that Arsenal looked as good as their placement right? If you look at their placement, you'd think they play a certain way. You think they have a certain type of what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to say mojo for lack of anything else that fits, but they don't have it. They win, sure.
Yeah.
But they don't win elegantly necessarily. I mean, notwithstanding what they did to Man City, that was gorgeous. I mean, that was a spectacular. It was a spectacular takedown.
That was.
But most of the time, I find it's more. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, look at that. That was good. Type of more accidental winning than intentional winning.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. They just kind of grind out some results, which look, you can argue is the sign of a good side. But as we've also realized, they've also like been in the lead and then just like thrown away and drawn quite a few games as well, which they have thrown away.
It's been on both sides. By the way, may I say for Martinelli, I don't like to whenever anybody gets injured, it's never a cause for celebration. But boy, he really opened his big mouth prior to that game, talking about how they were going to go in there and score 4 or 5 goals and blah blah blah.
Did he say? Oh, I missed
that.
Yes,
he did. And in a post-game interview, and I only know this because my son follows this stuff and he talks to me about it, but he said Anthony Gordon was apparently just a monster, like was all over the pitch, set up the first goal with Isak, did all this, amazing stuff. And then afterwards, in the post-game interview, kind of did a little bit of a cheeky one of these and was like, well, now is the time for us to just be humble.
Yes, that's it. I think that, and isn't that a play on the Erling Haaland, right? It was Erling Haaland telling Arteta to be humble as well at some point. So yeah, so it's he was looking really good, I have to say, and so Newcastle, they're through to the final. Obviously, I think this is their second Carabao Cup final in 3 years. So maybe they'll be able to have another crack at it and get going. Yep. But if the other game's going to be kicking off in about an hour and a half from when we're recording now, and that's Spurs against Liverpool. I just, again, if I was a betting man, which we are not, as we've discovered, but I wouldn't want to put $1 near Spurs right now.
Absolutely not.
I think they're just going to get Arne Slot's steam train just run right over them.
Yeah, if there was a bet on the degree of Spursiness that's going to come out in this match, that's something I might want to put some dollars in. But no, listen, they're up 1-0, right? It was, I believe it was Liverpool's last loss.
That's correct. Yes, this is true.
So
yes.
But Liverpool faces Plymouth Argyle in the FA Cup.
Game management will
what
be
do you think Slot's going to do? He's proven to be perhaps the best game manager in the league right now.
And squad manager.
He's had a little bit of luck in that, not too much. He hasn't been plagued by a bunch of injuries. Yet he still manages to rotate his players in such a way that every time they take the pitch, they're fresh. They are fresh. They are focused, and they deliver. So if he's continuing in this vein, which there's no reason to think he won't, I expect to see a Liverpool team that's going to come out and play to win and play with some of their top tier names. Right? This is going to be a marquee match.
They're playing a full strength team. They're going for it. Yeah, they're going for it. Absolutely.
Yep, they're going because for it. They know they can bring some academy kids in to Plymouth. And likely still do the business. I think there's confidence there, right? They put a couple of first team players that might not play too much here. They're going to be able to manage this. And I think Liverpool come out. On top.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think they do so comfortably, possibly putting up 3 goals against them. Are they playing at Liverpool or are they
going to have to score more than 2? Obviously, they're going to have to.
No, they just need to score 2
on aggregates. Okay, and then Liverpool going full force, they're just going to run over them.
Totally.
As you say, they have to score. They're going to have to score at least 2 goals just to go through. Otherwise, it goes to extra time, and that's not what they want. But my suspicion here is that, the full team comes out. The only thing that I'd be interested in really looking at on the Spurs side is what approach do they take? They've got that 1-0 aggregate. Do they go and say attack is the best form of defense? And go after them and try and sort of score a goal and then sort of go 2-0 up. They do have some hope in this new January transferred loanee that they've got in Matisse Tel, this young French kid that they've just signed. We'll see if he's able to pull anything together. But my hopes are not too high for Spurs right now.
Gary, this is Ange ball. They're not going to go defense. They're going to try to play the way Ange tells them to play, and they're going to fall like they've done upon numerous occasions. No, their defensive line is going to be shredded. It's going to be carved apart, and I think that's. I don't know. And I think Liverpool is going to put up 3. I think it's going to be a comfortable win for them.
I agree with you. I think you make a really good point there. Is what style of game Spurs are going to bring, right? And it's only one gear, which is Ange ball, right? Which is we're going to go for you. We're going to have a high line. We're going to try and press you and outplay you. And Liverpool are just going to pick them off after about 60, 70 minutes. They're just going to bring on some subs. Defenders are going to be tired and they're going to run in behind. So let's anyway. Well, let's pray for Spurs.
If the loss is bad, Ange is going to be shown the door.
I agree with you. I don't think he's too far away from that, to be honest. I think he's in trouble.
If they win, there's a reprieve. He's getting a temporary stay of execution.
He does.
Right. The governor's going to pick up the phone. He's going to make the call, and he's going to be fine. But I don't think that's going to happen. So,
and I think to your point as well, previously as well, is like this is kind of like if you're Ange, like you could actually save your ass here by picking up a piece of silverware if they can scrape through to the final and sort of go and beat Newcastle. That kind of I won you a trophy and that can save his ass a little bit. But yeah. Well, okay. Well, I will be looking forward to this absolute mauling, and I think it will be exactly that. I think Liverpool will absolutely steamroll them, but I could be wrong. But let's turn our attention to the weekend's activities. We have
the FA Cup.
Round of the FA Cup, which is a little bit more prominence than the Carabao Cup, of course, because of the history to it. So where do you want to kick off? How do you want to?
Well, I'll be honest. I was a little down on the FA Cup, Gary. Mm-hmm. I was really excited for round 3. There were some fascinating fixtures. There were some really good minnows versus sharks scenarios. Nothing really came out of it. It all sort of ended up going very meh, very blah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then I went in and I started looking and doing some research, and I got to say I've kind of turned around. There are some really good. There's some good fixtures coming up, and some good stories behind them. So I'm ready to tell some tales and make some predictions. Yeah,
let's get into it. My recollection from the last round of the FA Cup was the ones again who just managed to get away from being beaten by a minnow was Spurs, wasn't it, against Tamworth? If you remember.
I remember all right.
Tamworth held them, took them to extra time, and then Spurs' fitness and sort of quality finally came through. But they that was the one that was the closest.
Yeah, and really a shame that Tamworth did not get the chance to go and do a reverse fixture at the Spurs Stadium, which would have brought them a tremendous amount of revenue, right? That would have been able to. They probably would have been able to afford heat in the visitors' dressing room instead of that plug-in heater that they have right now. They could have done some upgrades. And get the goalkeeper Jazz Singh, who had his first child the day before the game.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
get a proper gift for the baby. Some nice cute onesies or something. By the way, if the Spurs sent a Spurs onesie to him as a gift, that's very callous. And in really poor taste. And I'm hoping that the Spurs were better than that. But
I hope they were.
But staying with the FA Cup, the first match, I think, lays a lot of groundwork. It's Manchester United versus Leicester City. Right? They're hosting Leicester City. Now, you may sit and go, who cares? And you're right. Who cares? But it's a really fascinating take on with two clubs that are not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Amorim's on the hot seat. Only today he admitted, hey, you know what? My job's on the line. Well, duh, you think? Thanks for that. Newsflash. But Leicester's in a similar scenario.
Yes.
Van Nistelrooy is also in trouble. And I'm telling you right now, Van Nistelrooy wants this more than Amorim does.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to go into Manchester United with his ragtag Blue Foxes, led by proper geezer, Jamie Vardy. He wants to go in there and he wants to whoop some Red Devil ass.
Yes.
And show them that he's got something.
Yep.
And I think Leicester pulls off the upset.
I wouldn't even say
I think Jamie
upset.
Vardy leads the upset because that guy still has that. He's got the spark. He's got the fire. Mm-hmm. You can see it when he's there. He's there.
Yeah.
So
no, he's there. I wouldn't even call it an upset if Leicester beat Man United, to be honest, on sort of current form. I know Leicester aren't doing too well, but I'd say this is Leicester's to lose, to be perfectly candid, is the way I'd look at it. The other interesting storyline is Van Nistelrooy, the Leicester manager, was the caretaker manager of Manchester United just before Amorim arrived. So there's obviously, there's a sort of like you kind of, I had my eye on your role, but I didn't get it. So again, as you say, there's that added motivation to want to go in there and just absolutely sort of humiliate them.
Yeah, absolutely. Former striker for the team. I mean, he's got everything to play for.
He does.
Everything to play for.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, that's Friday. That's the only game on Friday, so that'll be fun.
Yes.
That'll be fun watching. Take your pick of fixtures from Saturday. There's quite a few. Right?
Yeah, there is quite a few one as well. The Leeds-Millwall one will be an interesting one. That is sort of like two teams that historically have quite dirty reputations as well. Millwall are obviously particularly are known for their dare I say it, their hooliganism, and Leeds have also historically have been sort of like considered quite a rough sort of team to play. So they're playing at Ellen Road in Leeds.
Yes, again,
that will be a rough sort of duel. I is how I'd look at it. That's definitely one that jumps out at me.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think Leeds has the edge. Millwall haven't won at Ellen Road since 2010. All right.
Wow.
So that's a long time. Now Millwall are doing okay. They're mid-table, right? They're mid-table. Leeds obviously is top of the table. So they're running high. Both teams are in great form, right? Leeds undefeated in the last 5 games. Millwall only with one loss and a draw and 3 wins.
Yeah.
This is a great match. I mean, this is going to be one that is going to be, as you say, feisty, physical.
Yes.
Maybe a little dirty, but
a proper match.
This is a proper match. So go for it.
With your referee hat on, would you like to referee? Would you like to referee this kind of game, or would you rather sort of go for the easy ones? This is sympathy for the referees here.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere near this game.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one that jumps out at me now here is Leyton Orient against Manchester City. Yep. And the reason I say that is Man City are away, and then they've got a crucial Champions League game next week against Real Madrid. So what do you do if you're Pep? Your form is all over the place. You've just been thumped by Arsenal. Do you go here and play some kids with one eye on the Real Madrid game? Or do you have to go in there and again try and sort of save your arse and save your season and sort of keep fighting as well? That's I think.
Yeah, I'd say that for the fans out there that are hoping for some sort of biblical David versus Goliath love story, ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
I think. Listen, there's 46, right? There's 44 places between the two teams, right? Yep. Man City they're still sitting on a butt cushion from the last game that they played.
Yes.
They are not in a good space. I think Pep's going to field the team. I think he's going to put Haaland in to give Haaland goals, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think City should take any joy or any pleasure in what they're about to do to Leyton Orient, but they're going to do it anyway.
You think they're going to run over them and absolutely annihilate them?
I do. And that's not to say that Leyton won't show a little steel, right? I think Leyton will certainly expect to see the worst. I'd say that if Pep really tries to outthink everybody, he would go in and put kids, and that would absolutely make Leyton freak out because they're probably planning to play the Haalands and the various other things. And if he goes in and tries to put some kids to play a much more fluid passing style, as opposed to a more give it to the big guy and let him do his thing,
just run over them.
Could throw a wrench in the works. But I don't. I really genuinely don't see a way out of for Leyton in this match.
No. I something in my gut tells me that this is not going to be an easy walkover for City here. I think again, if I was betting on this one, I would be tempted to sort of just throw a speculative few dollars on Leyton Orient here as well. And again, we'll see. But yeah, I don't.
Certainly your odds would be good, right? You get great odds, but I don't know. I think it's 4-1 Manchester.
Okay, that's a good one.
That's what I'm saying.
The other interesting one is Coventry and Ipswich. Now, Coventry
interesting pull. Okay.
Yeah, because the reason I say this is obviously Ipswich, as we know, are at the bottom of the Premier League and they are huffing and puffing and they're probably going to get relegated because it's just not happening for them. Coventry, who were recently taken over with a new manager in the form of Frank Lampard, has had an absolute bounce with them. And we've talked about this many times before about the managerial bounce, your article the other week about David Moyes and the bounce as well. He has done exactly that. And Coventry have bounced from sort of in the relegation zone. And I know their form suggests they've won the last four out of their last five. They just lost their last game. But in terms of like getting back up there, he has turned them around and he is rocking. So again, talking about upsets here or sort of possible sort of, shake-ups here to David versus Goliath. I wouldn't really call it a David versus Goliath. There's not huge amounts of places between them, but I'd actually say Coventry probably have a really strong chance here to go and turn over Ipswich.
I would agree with you. I'd say on paper, this is what is known as a toss-up match, right? I mean, their last 5 meetings, and that's within, relatively recent time, have gone completely even, 2 wins each side and a draw. Ipswich, I mean, I look at this as nothing more than just a championship tie. These two teams will be playing each other twice next year in championship. So, but you're right. I'd say that Coventry, given Lampard, given the bounce, definitely have more of the edge here. Yeah. And they're at home, right?
Yeah. There's that as well. There's home advantage, There's another game here, Doncaster Palace against your Palace. I'm saying it's postponed.
No. Don't jump to Monday already. There's some other ones that we need to look at there too, right?
Well, isn't that
because in addition to the Coventry City and Ipswich, there is Stoke City versus Cardiff City. And the reason I bring it up is because Stoke City and Cardiff City are literally right next to each other. They are cheek by jowl.
Yes.
They are in the bottom third of the championship.
Okay.
They're separated by goal differential, I think.
Yes.
This is literally the definition of get them on the pitch, flip a coin, see what happens. Their last 4 head-to-head meetings have been draws.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's going all the way to the PKs, baby. All the way to the PKs.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's either going to be 1-1, maybe 0-0. I don't know. This is going straight to the kicks because
Cardiff.
There it is.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really have too much of an opinion on that one, but I think that's probably going to pretty evenly matched up.
Yeah. And then my second big upset call is Wigan versus Fulham. And I'm going to tell you why. So
go on.
Wigan Athletic hosting Fulham. Fulham have to be really careful. There's 50 places between the teams. Okay. And you'd think, oh, no problem. Easy. No. This is the type of match. This is the type of FA Cup match that makes that creates the mystique. These are the ties that end up going down as the upsets, right?
Yeah.
And I think Fulham could stumble on this one. They just got to be really mindful. It's one to watch. Definitely one to watch.
Okay. I think, again, Fulham are in pretty good form and sort of doing quite well. And obviously, if you look at sort of Wigan, where are they in the championship? They're sort of, they're sort of like...
They're not in the championship. They're League One.
Look at that. Oh, my goodness. That's it. Wow.
They're League One.
Looking at that. Okay,
that's why I'm saying this is it. No, I'm telling
50
you.
Places, that's a lot. Okay. All right. If that's
your 50 call, places is a lot. But somebody's got to do it. Yeah. And I think Wigan has the best chance to do it.
Okay.
Now, no offense, but Doncaster is not going to topple Palace. I'm worried, but I don't think Doncaster topples Palace. There's 64 places between those two teams. That's the biggest gap. That's the biggest gap in this fix.
I'm seeing that match as well as the Exeter Forest game have been postponed. Are you aware of that? Have you come across that?
I have not seen that. No, that's news.
I am seeing that they've been postponed. Those are the only 2 fixtures that have been postponed. Normally around this time of year because the weather is so bad, but unless the weather is already so bad that they're sort of pre-postponing it, but it has been postponed.
I don't see how they can postpone it because right now they're scheduled for Monday and Tuesday.
Interesting.
Monday the Doncaster Palace game was scheduled for Monday the 10th.
Then that could have been what it is.
There's no way they're postponing a game 4 days with 4 days of lead time.
Yeah, you'd think so. They'd know.
And Exeter Nottingham Forest is also has been posted. They might have originally been scheduled for Saturday.
That could have been what it is.
And they may be pushing them back to Monday or Tuesday in order to be able to get them to fit in.
Yep. There we go. Yeah.
But,
so I think,
So that's
okay.
No, I think Palace win.
Palace roll them
but
over for sure.
but I think Doncaster is going to be tough to play at, and I because I there's always that needling suspicion in the back of your mind where you're just like, oh, could they? No, but I think Palace and Palace's academy team is pretty good too, right? So they've got, if they need to pull up some young ones, I think we see Romain play a lot more on this game. I think so. This is, do you see the full? I don't know. Palace love the FA Cup. Like historically, that's been something that they've always cared a lot about. So I'm expecting to see a strong Palace team come in and roll. But
okay. Yeah. And then and then just staying on the Saturday games as well, I think just sort of wrapping it up as well, there's Everton Bournemouth. My sense here is again, this Bournemouth is a tougher one. You think so? Yeah. Moyes, the bounce. Moyes has been sort of rocking and rolling, and again, nope. Okay, Bournemouth. That's clear for me, but that's okay. You've got the other one.
I don't. I think Bournemouth take this one. I know Everton are playing at home. I know it's the last FA Cup game at Goodison Park. I know all that stuff, but I do think Bournemouth is going to come in, and they're going to just, they're going to play their game. They're going to sneak around, and they're going to poach, and they're going to get it.
Okay. And then the other one as well that's interesting is you've got Southampton against Burnley, right? And so you've got Southampton, who are anchored to the bottom of the Premier League and going down by the looks of it, and Burnley, who are second in the Championship and probably coming up, and they're going to switch places. So you think just on form alone, the fact that Burnley are rocking and sort of rolling around, do you think they'll go there with sort of the bit between?
This is Burnley's to lose. This is Burnley's to lose. I mean, they should win.
Yeah.
They are stronger on every metric, right? They just are.
Yeah.
But Southampton right now, they're like a cornered rodent. And they're the most dangerous rodent is one that you got trapped in a corner.
That's it.
So they've got to be aware of that and be prepared for it. They should be able to handle and absorb all that. But
it's interesting. You're not saying a cornered Bengali tiger or something like that, but you've decided to go with rodent. That's how you're framing Southampton as an injured rodent. Okay. And then the other one as well we've got is Birmingham and Newcastle. That's obviously that's an interesting one because Birmingham as well have been sort of, their form's not been so great.
Both teams are absolutely flying right now. They're flying real high.
Yeah. And that's Birmingham.
They're both. These are two teams that are both very strong in their respective areas.
Yes.
Someone's going down. I don't know who. I really don't. Newcastle are right off of this big win. It all depends on who they decide to put on the pitch and where they want to put their focus.
Yeah, that's true. And this is
Birmingham. It's very clear. This is a big game for them.
Yeah,
they're coming in, all guns primed, everything ready. Newcastle have a lot of distractions. They could be brittle.
Yeah, I think Newcastle probably, as you said, the form would suggest that Newcastle are probably the winners here as well, just by the strength and the confidence.
I mean, I think odds wise, you're right.
Yeah,
right. Skill wise, you're right. But that's not the way the game's played, baby.
That's not the way. There's the magic of the FA Cup still to encounter.
That's the magic.
And then the other final Saturday game as well is Brighton against Chelsea. This is also just a dry dress rehearsal as well for the same following Friday. They play each other in the Premier League as well, so they're going to play each other back to back. Yeah. I just don't have any faith in Chelsea at the moment. I think they're just too shaky.
Join the club. Neither do I. They're going home. You're in agreement.
I think Brighton at home, and I think Brighton will probably just sort of squeeze this one out, whether it'll be like a 2-1. Again, some sloppy defending, Chelsea leaky at the back as well. Brighton sort of a pretty solid and sort of looking pretty consistent. I think Brighton sort of edged this one out. And then just looking through the other fixtures as well, then as we go on to Sunday, there's Blackburn against Wolves.
Wolves. They haven't played each other since 2017, Gary. This is as much of a mystery match as anybody could. There's no history here.
Yeah,
there's only 9 places between them. I mean, this is a good one.
This
right?
is
But Blackburn are in terrible form. They lost 4 of their last 5.
That's true.
They were flying high at the top of the championship. They
plummeted in 5th place.
I mean, I actually think it's going to be a great match. I think you've got two teams that are coming in. They've got a lot to play for, but I have no predictions on this. I cannot for the life of me think about any particular one having an edge right now. It's just turn it on and enjoy. That's all I can say.
That will be a fun one. Yeah, that will be a fun one. And that will be the morning fixture on the Sunday. And then obviously the mid-morning game as well, that will be Plymouth against Liverpool. Now, Liverpool don't have to worry about Champions League the following week. Obviously, you'd assume that they would have run over Spurs in the Carabao Cup as well. Yeah. They go to Plymouth. Do they play the kids? Do they play a softer team? Or what was your...
So Plymouth is dead freaking last in the championship. They got nothing.
Yeah.
Right? They got nothing.
So another
I think
wounded
Liverpool
rodent
just goes in there and it's not going to be fancy. They're going to do the business. Move on.
They're just going another result grinded out. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
And then the other one as well is Villa against Spurs. Now again, I just feel sorry for Spurs now. They're just
God, I know it's terrible.
They could get knocked out of 2 cup competitions in the space of 4 days.
They could. Will they? I don't know. God, I hope so. But it's just me. That's my historical animosity towards the Spurs. But I think, both teams are not tip top, as we know. Spurs, definitely not. Villa, it all depends on what side of the bed they woke up on. Was their coffee the right temperature? I mean, it's like who knows what's playing in? Were the eggs runny? Who knows? I mean,
the interesting one why I'll be watching this one is just to see Villa's new loan signings that they picked up in the transfer window. They're going to play Rashford up front.
This is very true.
They're going to obviously play Marcus Asensio as well, who I'm a big fan of, and as well I know he's got some pedigree, so that will be an interesting sort of game for him to blood himself. That will be interesting to see. Again, this is the first time you get to see Marcus Rashford. Now he's outside of United in his first ever game outside of United. Is it Man United that's the problem, or is it Marcus Rashford that's the problem?
Well,
and we'll find out.
We might find out at the end of this game.
Yeah, we would find out. Yeah,
that question may have an answer.
That will be. I think there's definitely an article in there that we can also squeeze out as well for that one. And then you got Donny against Crystal Palace. Yeah,
already been there.
We've been there.
Already been there.
Forest Exeter, and then he's Forest as well. So that's.
Forest Exeter. I feel sorry for Exeter because I don't think Forest. They're going to play their regular team.
Yeah,
they're not going to pull anybody out.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah, you've got enough. Just the way they're playing, they're rocking. Absolutely. Yeah,
they're just gonna go in there. And I think Exeter's they're gonna try, and they're gonna fail, and we're all going to applaud them for a good effort. And maybe if they're lucky, someone will buy them some pints at the end of the game. But yeah, it's not gonna be pretty.
It's not gonna be pretty.
Not gonna be pretty for them.
Wonderful. Look at that. Wrap that all up.
There it is.
In aggressive time. So tell me, just one question. So any giant killings, where do you see the biggest giant? If a giant killing's coming, who do you see? Where do you see it to be?
I've called it Wigan. I think Wigan is the giant killer in this one, right? I think they have the best. I think they have the best chance. Wigan
against Fulham.
I really don't think Leighton has it in for City. I'm sorry. I want to emotionally. I want to give Leighton an edge on that, but I don't think they've got it. And the only other, possibly Birmingham City over Newcastle. Possibly. There's an outside chance on that one. There's an outside chance on that one. That's really, I think that's really it. And then of course, like you said, Leicester versus Man U. That's not a giant killing. Right? That's not a giant killing, and it may not even be an upset. So
that's a head-to-head. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so you're going to go with Wigan. I'm still sticking. I think Leyton Orient. I think that the shock here as well. If you're sort of looking on the betting lines, I think there's money to be made on Leyton Orient here. I just think City. They're going to get distracted by the Real Madrid game. They're again another wounded animal. I wouldn't maybe classify them as a wounded rodent, but definitely a wounded narwhal or something like that. Something.
They're not a narwhal. Don't do not discredit narwhals that bad. They're much cooler than that.
They are wonderful. Okay, so there we have it. Okay, so I think we got a sense of upsets in the giant killings as well.
Hold
so
on,
you're going to go.
There's one fixture we forgot to mention, and I don't want to offend all of our fans out in Wickham and Preston North End. So they've played. And I actually think this is a great matchup on paper. Both teams are coming in strong with good form. Wickham's one league lower. That's a giant killing. No, not a giant killing, but that one could be an upset. Wickham has been really, really good.
They've been showing good form, have they? And Preston
great
sort of like middle 15th place or so of in the championship as well. So they've been a little bit sort of topsy-turvy by the looks of it as well. Okay, wonderful. Qooligan, as always, wonderful to connect with you and discuss this. Obviously, we'll be glued to the screens. I'm going to go and watch Liverpool go and run over Spurs now and see how that one shakes out. Until next time, thank you very much.
Until then,
speak to you soon. Take care.
Adieu.